Welcome to the Narrative Mindset Podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, feel free when you get time to go view previous episodes to get the flow of the podcast. Today's episode is going to be about a woman who installed a garden in her brain to manage her ADHD. There's a woman in Dearborn named Marla who installed a garden in her brain to manage her ADHD. Not metaphorically, literally. A neural greenhouse wired to her prefrontal cortex. Tomatoes for focus, lavender for calm, mint for memory. She wears it with breath work, prunes it with sleep, fertilizes it with movement. She got the idea from a man named Dr. Rafi, who runs a clinic inside an abandoned roller rink. Said ADHD isn't just neurological, it's ecological. Said the brain needs rituals, not just remedies. Marla didn't want pills. She wanted rhythm. It started with basil. Dr. Rafi said basil helps with impulsivity. Marla visualized planting it every morning. Said it gave her a reason to wake up. Said rituals are anchors. She paired it with a smoothie, banana, basil, and chia. Called it focus fuel. Drink it before work. Not for energy, not for intention. She stopped checking her phone before noon, started walking to work. Said movement is a form of watering. Marla started keeping a log, called it the garden. Every day, she'd track her focus, mood, and rituals. Over time, patterns emerged. She focused better after movement, slept deeper after journaling, forgot less when she ate protein. She added symbols. A coconut, or the plant growing out of it for growth. A potted plant with a plant growing out of it for maintenance. And a wilted rose for overwhelm. She noticed something strange. Her worst days had no symbols. Said ADHD thrives in blank space. Said rituals fill the gaps. There's a juice cart near the old train depot run by a woman named Santa who blends smoothies based on cognitive compost. What the brain forgets, represses, or misfiles. Marla went there after a week of spiraling, ordered a beet ginger blend. Santa asked, "What are you trying to recycle?" Marla said, "The shame of forgetting." Santa nodded, handed her the drink, said, "This one's for forgiveness." Marla drank it, felt her breath deepen, said it tasted like grace. Marla met a man named Theo at a community workshop. He builds emotional greenhouses, Structures that hold rituals, boundaries, and sensory cues. He asked Marla to design hers. She drew a dome with lavender walls, a treadmill pad, and a playlist that loops every 90 minutes. Theo said, "That's a dopamine dome." Marla nodded, said, "It's how I regulate." She built a version in her apartment, called it the Ritual Room. Said it was her nervous system sanctuary. Marla started waking up before sunrise. Said the garden needed light. Said her thoughts were photosynthetic. She stopped using alarms. Started letting her circadian rhythm guide her. Said ADHD isn't a disorder, it's a rhythm mismatch. She built a morning ritual, breathwork, basil tea, 10 minutes of movement, and a playlist called Focus Bloom. She stopped checking emails before breakfast. Said urgency is a weed. It happened on a Thursday that smelled like burnt toast and unfinished tasks. Marla skipped her ritual, slept in, ate sugar, scrolled for hours. By noon, the garden was overgrown. Vines of distraction, thorns of shame. She couldn't focus. She couldn't breathe. She called Dr. Rafi. Said, "I lost the rhythm." He said, "Then pruned with compassion." She journaled, walked, cried. Said, ADHD isn't failure, it's feedback. Marla started auditing her rituals. Not just what she did, what she skipped. She noticed she avoided movement when anxious, avoided protein when tired, avoided silence when overwhelmed. She made a chart, called it the avoidance grid. Each blank space was a ritual she abandoned. Said ADHD thrives in absence. Said lifestyle is a form of scaffolding. She started filling the grid. Not perfectly, intentionally. Santa introduced a new blend, called it Repair. Made from pear, turmeric, and rosemary. Said it was for rebuilding rituals after collapse. Marla drank it after a spiral. Said it tasted like forgiveness. Santa handed her a napkin that said, "You're allowed to restart." Marla taped it to her fridge. Said it was her new mantra. Marla met a man named Orion at a design lab that builds environments for neurodivergent brains. He teaches dopamine design, how to shape space to support focus. He asked Marla to redesign her workspace. She added scent cues like gradients and a timer that chimes every 25 minutes. Orion said, "You're designing for your neurotransmitters." Marla nodded, said, "I'm landscaping my brain." She called it the Focus Grove. Said it felt like gardening with intention. Marla started talking to her plants, not out loud, internally. Said each herb had a voice. Basil was firm, lavender was soft, and that was playful. Said ADHD isn't just distraction, it's dialogue. Said her brain was a chorus. She added new plants. Chamomile for sleep, sage for boundaries, lemon balm for transitions. Said each ritual needed a botanical anchor. She stopped apologizing for her pacing, started narrating it. Said movement is a form of pruning. It happened during a heat wave. Marla skipped meals, skipped movement, skipped breath work. Her thoughts tangled. Her rituals wilted. She forgot appointments, forgot names, forgot why she started. She called Theo, said, "The garden's dying." Theo said, "Then compost the shame." She journaled, slept, cried, said, "ADHD isn't a flaw, it's a climate." Said lifestyle is a forecast. Marla built a compost bin in her mind, not for waste, for transformation. She visualized tossing shame, guilt, and overwhelm into it. Said decomposition is healing. She added a new symbol to her log. A green triangle for compost. Used it when she forgave herself. Said ADHD needed grace more than grit. She stopped chasing productivity, started cultivating presence. Santa introduced a new blend, called it Nourish, made from blueberry, flaxseed, and cinnamon. Said it was for feeding neurodivergent brains. Marla drank it after a week of composting. Said it tasted like permission. Santa handed her a napkin. It said, "You're allowed to bloom different." Marla taped it to her mirror. Said it was her new blueprint. Marla met a woman named Leela at a sensory lab that studies biotechnical cognition, how plants mirror mental states. Leela asked Marla to describe her garden. Marla said, "It's a map of my needs." Leela nodded, said, "Then you're managing ADHD with ecology." Marla smiled, said, "I'm not managing, I'm cultivating." Marla started teaching workshops, not on ADHD, on ritual ecology. She called them brain gardens. People came with their own seeds, movement, music, scent, silence. She helped them design greenhouses, not for productivity, for peace. She stopped using the word management, started saying cultivation. Said ADHD isn't a problem to solve, it's a rhythm to honor. Marla's daughter came to visit, saw the ritual room, asked, "Is this therapy?" Marla said, "It's gardening." Her daughter smiled, said, "And I want to plant something." They brewed basil tea, did breath work, walked in silence. Her daughter said, "I think I have it too." Marla nodded, said, "And we'll build your garden together. Marla added one last plant. Jasmine said it was for joy. Said she'd earned it. The garden glowed. Not with perfection, with presence. She stopped tracking symptoms, started tracking rituals. Said ADHD isn't a checklist, it's a climate. Said lifestyle is the weather. She flipped through a log, saw more plants growing out of the ground than wilted roses. Said that was enough. Santa introduced a final blend, called it Bloom, made from mango, jasmine, and lime. Said it was for celebrating neurodivergent growth. Marla drank it before her first solo workshop. Said it tasted like a rival. Santa handed her a napkin. It said, "You're allowed to thrive." Marla taped it to her garden log. Said it was the final symbol. Marla started a group, not a support group, a cultivation choir. People who garden together with their minds. Not for control, not for care. Each person brings a ritual, one they've planted, one they've pruned, one they've composted. They share in silence, then in song. Marla calls it the Bloom Ritual. It says it's the sound of thriving. I don't know if Marla still tracks her rituals. I don't know if the garden ever wilts. I don't know if the choir still meets. But I do know this. Marla stopped managing, started cultivating, started blooming. She folded ADHD into basil, into smoothies, into silence, into song. She didn't fix her brain. She gardened it. She honored it. She lived it. And maybe that's enough. Maybe lifestyle isn't a cure. Maybe it's a greenhouse, a rhythm, a ritual. Maybe it's this story. Maybe it's you.